Assalamu alaikum. I had a small adventure at Walmart. I'd like to tell you about it. You know, every time I go out, I always make a dua to Allah to allow me to say good words and hopefully to give me the opportunity to explain Islam, because usually wherever I go, people stare at me oddly. Well, I guess it makes sense though. Well, anyway, so I'm waiting in a line at the customer service to withdraw some money, and there was only one woman ahead of me, and that woman was obviously Hispanic, and she had with her a young child, but he looked to be about 3 years old, and he was having some little piece of powder. It was a toy. It was about as big as, no, a little shorter and maybe a little fatter. It looked like a little miniature baby bottle, and it was filled with blue powder. There used to be something like that when I recall pixie sticks, but it wasn't a pixie stick. It was like a miniature baby bottle that you could just play with. And I think each one was probably $2, because it was like a little miniature figurine. And she had two that she was going to buy for this little boy. And the little boy was a sweet little boy. He looked a little, unkempt. He was about 3. And his mom was getting money orders. And so while she was getting the money orders, I thought I'd chat with him, because I love little children, especially that age. They're just so wondrous. So I was asking him, how do you do this? And so he took the top off, and he spilled some of the blue powder going, and his mom was just upset, and she was like kind of a grouchy lady anyway. And I think she didn't want him talking to me. That's what I feel. I felt a little bit of a anxiousness from her, and he was just a little sweetie. Anyway, the mom paid for the 2 little baby bottle powdered figurines, whatever they were just so unusual. And so he said, I got this one for my sister. I said, oh, what a nice boy you are. You're saving one for your sister. He said, yeah, but she's my big sister. She's 17. And they're just, the wonder years. They just tell you anything for any reason, and they make it into a drama that it's so exciting. And I was having fun with this little boy, honestly. So his mom finished her business, and it just struck me to do this. I don't know. I felt it was the right thing to do. So she said, come on, give me those. Very abruptly and very kind of like a mean mom. So I gave the little boy a big smile, and I looked at the mom and I said, adios, vaya con Dios. And I thought she was going to faint. She looked at me, her eyes open wide. She gave me this big smile, and she said, amen. I didn't want to push it and go into the salamu alaikum thing, but you see, these people are afraid. They're afraid because of the media lying, and anytime they see a headscarf, their immediate reaction is what they hear in usually the Southern Baptist or the Pentecostal churches in South Florida, who tell them that we are Satan. Yes, that's what they tell them. So I was amused, and as I left, I said, I have to make a video about this tonight, because for me, it was a fantastic answer to my dua. Oh, Allah, let me say something, every time I go out, and usually I do get chances. And oftentimes I'll stand in aisles with women, and we'll be chatting for 20 minutes, because they always, so where are you from? And anyway, next week we're supposed to be having something opening. It's called the Dean Show. It's supposed to open. I've been waiting 2 years for it to open. It's supposed to be an outreach center for the people in the area, or anyone actually, to come in and learn about Islam. And there's going to be 12 shuyukh. It's called the AIM conference. There's this group of shuyukh who are trying to teach the Salafi manhaj, which I like. And it's organized, but the only thing is, not that it's wrong, but they're all, Middle Eastern, Pakistani, Asian, whatever, Arab. And the one who heads it is a man called Karim Abu Zaid. He's an imam. He's been in Colorado, I think, for about 30 years. And he's you can say, the head admin person. But the person that's, you can say, the star of it all is Sheikh Usman. I think he calls himself Ibn Farouk or Usman Farouk. And he is from Pakistan, but he was raised up since I think the age of 5 or 6 in East LA in a gangster area. So when he went to school as a young boy, he was, you can imagine, just bullied. That's the word. And so he soon had to adapt to his situation. And that meant he had to go to Catholic church because these Latino gangs were all Catholic. And so they used to go to church every Sunday. So if you wanted protection from them, to hang out with them so he wouldn't get beat up, as he was starting to get beat up every day, he joined them. And he went through a whole series of years in the Catholic Church because of them. And knowing he's a Muslim, his immigrant parents were Muslims, but they had to work. And so, he was pretty much left on his own to fend for himself with really violent gangster activities, guns. And I don't want to go into it, but if you watch the Dean show, Eddie has had him on as a guest many times. And I advise you to listen to it because it's really, it's terrifying and at the same time very heartwarming about what happened when he tried to leave the gangs and how they threatened him. And I've never been involved in any gang activity, but as an American, I know it's real. And it's increasing, actually, because racism is increasing. So on that note, let me just add something. This is going to be like is it a light lesson? No, it's not really a lesson. It's just, it is what it is in these times. I think, what are we now, actually? We're in November. I think we're November 20th, 2025. Yeah, next Thursday will be Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And the country is just so rapidly, not just changing, it's dissolving, it's deteriorating, it's decaying into, it's like I don't recognize it anymore. I don't recognize that I actually grew up here, went to school here, and lived here until I was 40 years old. And then I went to Egypt, and the rest is history because I went there as a Muslim to study. But what I want to say to you now is something I find, if you're disturbed, it's good to talk about it, and especially get it off your chest, they say. And you're the Muslim Ummah. Maybe not all of you are Muslim who listen to me, but a good amount of you are Muslim. So now you all know that the Shia Muslim was elected mayor in New York. And whatever you feel about that, that's not the point I'm making now. The point I'm making now is an Italian-American person. I won't give you his name. He's well known on YouTube. He's an artist. He paints the American flag. He's been painting the American flag for 30 years. And he goes around, and it can be a small flag, a medium-sized flag, or at times he will hoist a giant flag, like 30 feet wide, and he will get a crane and pay for all of this on his own and hoist it up to be next to a tall building. And he's a very ardent follower of President Trump. He took it upon himself to announce today that he doesn't like the Gypsy Jihadi mayor. That is Mayor Mamdani. He calls him the Gypsy Jihadi, which I feel is really rude and really wrong. I don't follow Shiism. I know Allah doesn't want Shiism. Allah likes the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. But I thought that was really going overboard. And then he got worse. So pay attention, people. We are in troubled times. And please make dua, because my channel is supposed to be basically Islamic. That's what I made it for. If we could all pray for peace and make dua that we're going to get over this hurdle without violence. But I'm not so sure it's going to happen, because he announced that he's seceding. That's a scary word, isn't it? Think of civil war. Think of what has recently happened just this year with Ukraine seceding from Russia. Look what happened to them. So he announced that he and his friends who run the borough of Staten Island, 5 boroughs, what are they? Do we remember? There's Manhattan, and then there's the Bronx, and then there's Brooklyn, and then there's Queens, and then there's Staten Island, very close to where the Statue of Liberty is. He's decided, along with many of his friends, that he doesn't want to be part of New York anymore because of the gypsy jihadi. Is this absurd? He was supporting a person called Curtis Sliwa, who was one of the guardian angels, a very good man. I was hoping that he would get the mayoral position, but he didn't. And he said, if Curtis doesn't win, I'm pretty sure I'm leaving. So just a couple of hours ago, before I went to Walmart, I listened to him, and I was really upset. I was not pleased, because once again, it's being framed as a reference against Islam. And do you know what's been happening recently about Islam in Michigan? Michigan has the largest number of Muslims. Yes, they are Shia. And there was a person who wanted to start trouble. And you can look it up. It's all over Google. And he has succeeded in starting trouble. And you just type in, if you care about this, the latest problems in Michigan. And you're going to find it's a problem based on the governor, who used to hate Islam. He was one of those Proud Boy types, punk, really like he owns a trucking company, and he's all that Mr. Muscle, tough dude and all that. And then he decided, no, I'm going to give them a chance. I'm going to go into their Dearborn, the capital, and break bread with them and listen to them. And I think that, we can get along, because some people were making, violent emergency calls saying the Shia, not just the Shia, the Sharia, because of Mamdani, the Shia are taking over our country, and we're going to turn into a theocracy with Sharia law. And this is all in the past week. This is a perfect storm building, if you remember that film. Well, that euphemism, metaphor, is quite apt, because this person, the mayor, was giving the Muslims a chance, and then started to actually like the Muslims. And then out of nowhere, I won't even repeat their names because I don't want to give them any press, but a backlash occurred today. And they spray painted his bus, big, beautiful, like a tour bus that was purchased, I guess, for political travels. And they started holding up crucifixes of Jesus crucified and saying, we are a Christian country. We're not going to allow this. And look, even the mayor has bowed to them. And just because they ate some food together, he's saying they're good people. Well, they're not. They're terrorists. We have to kick them all out of the country. Get rid of all of them. This is a white Christian country. So, of course, when you say that, I really get my back up, because I was a white Christian living in this country. And it's not your country. This is Allah's earth. He rules it and everything in it. So I'm starting out now by making this small YouTube lesson video, whatever you want to call it. And it's almost like I'm pulling a fire alarm or something. I'm giving you an emergency heads up that we are headed for some troubled times. Now, Allah said he would do this as long as the fahisha was bayina and really in your face, meaning Allah warned that there would be a time when there would be sexual intercourse in the street between people, naked people, right in front of your eyes. Well, that happened about a month ago. They were in the bushes, but yeah, the police came along. And now the clothing, you cannot find any woman of any fame, fortune, whatever, without bearing her breasts, naked. And Prophet Muhammad said, in the end times, women will be dressed, but they will appear naked. Because now you've got all this see-through stuff, transparent totally, and not only is it that, but many of them just don't even bother with tops. Is this openly? Yes. The LGBT, how do they say it? LGBTQX, whatever, are on a roll. If you spend time, as I do, on YouTube trying to figure out what's going on, it's getting worse. It's getting vile, actually. So it's in the Quran as well, not just hadith. It's in the Quran as well that this kind of fahisha, bayina, clear and open corruption leads to your demise. Allah will wipe you out. Yes. So am I saying this as a form of a warning? Because that's supposed to be my specialty, explaining Quran to you and telling you what Allah says and what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he says. And it's not looking very promising. So I'm calling upon anyone who follows me to pray extra prayers, extra long sujood. Of course, Free Palestine is on the tip of all our tongues, as it should be, because now they're having floods there, freezing floods. And they're next to the ocean. And I saw something today where the waves actually came up. The waves reached their tents. Because, Gaza is on the Mediterranean. That's why they want to take it and make it a resort. That's their plan. The Zionist plan, the thieving, genocidal maniacs that they are. So if you have the opportunity to speak out, not everyone likes to do that. Not everyone can. But it doesn't take a lot of skill. All you have to do is say, peace to you. Do you know Jesus said those words? Well, we say salamu alaikum. It's very similar. You have to meet them where they live. So you know who you are and where you are. You just can tailor-make this little call accordingly as to what you feel comfortable with, what you feel like that you can give, because the enemy is on a roll. And Satan is behind all of this, to destroy anything good, anything real, anything to do with religion, that people would turn their face to the Almighty above. And I know there's different names, and I know some people still insist on calling Allah God, and I do rail against this frequently. His name is Allah. His only name that he named himself is Allah. Like, my name is Diane. I mean, what would I do if someone came up to me and called me Marwa or Suhad or any Arabic name? Maybe they see the scarf and they might call me someone else's name. And I'd say, excuse me, my name's Diane. Why are you calling someone else? Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, you think to yourself, maybe she doesn't care enough about me to remember my name. Maybe she forgot. Is she really that lax that she would forget my name? It's your name. It's a very big deal. Salam alaikum. You will get salam, which means security, when you follow what Allah has told you to follow. And if you don't, you will get little warnings. Allah will give you a little, I don't want to say, sometimes slangly, but Allah will give you a little pinch to wake you up. But we have been rolling down a hill speedily where we've exceeded the limits of depravity and corruption. And now, just to add to your happy Thanksgiving, these files, I don't want to say his name, that criminal, may he rot in hell, which he's probably already started rotting in the barzakh. But these files are coming forward right in Thanksgiving week. Just be thankful you still have breath and your mind is sane, inshallah. So I would say take your chance now to go forward out of your comfort zone, and in whatever way you can, talk to anyone. Talk to your children's friends, their schoolmates, because it's time that we, how do I put this nicely? See, I think of all these American euphemisms, bite the bullet, all that kind of stuff. That's wrong. I don't want to say anything to do with guns. But silence has always will signify that you agree, you're complicit if you're silent. So, Charlie, you'll do what you can. You will do what Allah guides your heart to. And I'm with you because La ilaha illallah wa Muhammad Rasulullah, we are one ummah. And as long as we're here in this country right now, we have to take this trust and speak. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.